Hey up guys, S-Man here, back at it again with a brand new Pokemon Horizons review. Now, we're just gonna get right into this, so make sure you guys like the video, subscribe for more content like this in the future, even leave a comment. But yeah, let's just get right into that video. Starting off, I'm gonna say this now because I don't know really a good point to say it besides when it happens in the episode. But I want to discuss this first because it's actually pretty big. I've been saying for like months, like, oh, why haven't we seen stuff, something like this? Oh, did this happen yet? Like, blah 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 blah. Where's Kieran? Has this even happened yet? Like, when it came to like Arvin, like, how did Arvin already know Penny and Nimona, like, to be like close friends with them, stuff like that. But it's actually revealed by Briar in this episode that the events of Scarlet and Violet fully happened. In this episode, Briar mentions that she's actually encountered a Terrapagos before, which is another crazy thing, which I'm going to mention later, or talk more about later, that there's multiple Terrapagos. But here's the thing. That means Scarlet and Violet happened, because she even says, oh yeah, when I saw Terrapagos in its dormant form, it kind of did look like a pendant. So, which if you played the games, you know when Kieran pulls that thing out, it is basically just a giant version of Rico's pendant. So yeah, Scarlet and Violet did happen. But here's the thing: was it like involved with Florian and Juliana? Because we haven't even like seen them. And like if we hadn't been to Blueberry Academy, like it would be like a good reason. Oh, that's why we didn't see Florian or Julian yet. But still, if you didn't show Arvin, it would be more like reasonable. Like, oh yeah, that makes sense. But what during the battles tournaments, Arvin shows up and they're sitting around Penny and Nimona, and Penny is obviously in a higher class than is older than all of the other three, so there's no way Florian or Juliana would be like graduated before Penny, or even Nimona and Arvin, who are also at the school before Florian or Juliana. But yeah, that's what really gets me interesting. I guess that also kind of explains why Kieran isn't even at Kitakami with his sister. Semi. Because technically, depending on if the protagonist has even been involved yet, he may still be Blueberry Academy's champion. And potentially, the thing with Ogre Pond could have or haven't happened. Like, it's not really clear what the timeline of events is because a lot of things within Scarlet and Violet still technically would happen if the protagonist wasn't there, like Arvin getting or Arvin's attempt to get all the Herba Mysticas, and the Penny and Team Star thing probably still would have happened the way she was. But I'm curious, would Kieran's rise to championships and like down spiral still happen if nobody caught Ogre Pond? Which yeah, so but we're gonna probably eventually see Kieran, and that question may be answered. But yeah, starting off with this episode, the gang all arrives at the Crystal Pool looking for Briar. They read up about the pool where it mentions, oh, it brings back the dead like in the games. We're gonna see something like that within the next couple episodes. But yeah, Freed said, hey, I'm gonna go get a good look on Charizard to go see if Briar's around here anywhere. And the kids are just standing by, amazed by the crystal pool. Also, quick thing I want to mention: we see Tinkatuff outside its Pokeball running around, but we then get a group shot of the crew and all their Pokemon out, and Tinkatuff is not with them. So this entire scene before the battle, I was just so confused where Tinkatuff went. But yeah, like I said, like I just alluded to, a battle does start after they track the Milotic to them, and the Milotic terastallizes into a ghost type like it does in the games, signifying the dead river thingy. And the kids all do a freeway battle where against Milotic. They're actually like their plans were pretty good of what they were trying to do. Like for example, Rico wanted to rush in with Magical Leaf because it's super effective, while Dot was gonna go with some kicks and Roy was gonna play more support. But Milotic kept diving underwater, avoiding them. That even like leads to them developing a new strategy that all together where Florigato was gonna wrap its yo-yo around Milotic to hold it in place while Roy and Dot attack. And then we get after the failure of Florigato trying to hold it down, we get a scene where Roy actually comes up with a strategy of fishing based on what Rico and Dot were doing during the festival, where they where he mentions they can use some bait to basically lure in Milotic like fishing, and Dot realizes, hey, let's use Quack Wobble's little dancings in the water to basically attract it towards us. And then Florigato could pull back Quack Wobble to safety while Roy can unleash some attacks. Which, I gotta say, the teamwork is really good, and I'm happy Roy was included because it basically builds off the development of his battle against Rhyme, where he learns more to focus on strategies instead of rushing all in. But yeah, that does work, and Roy's Crocolar and Milotic start like using disarming voice back and forth on each other before Milotic decides to give it up because uh, she thought it was fun to sing alongside Roy's Crocolar, and is all chill now and was really only battling them because it felt like scared and endangered by their presence. But yeah, that's when Briar shows up and it says all the kids did great in their battle, and this is where we get lore dump the episode, and we also get a really funny scene because Briar was obviously informed they were coming by Rhyford, which I kind of like that they did mention that, but Rhyford didn't mention Terrapagos, so Briar actually freaks out seeing another Terrapagos and being able to study one this close, which is like I said earlier, they went down to Area Zero and all the events of Terrapagos happened, which is exactly what she references during the episode, but she doesn't really give any names of who went down and what. But the fact that stuff like that happened and that there's multiple Terrapagos is really interesting because I'm curious if that's going to impact their own plot themselves, because from their discussions, it seems like Briar's research into Terrapagos is separate from the Rukawa stuff, because she even mentions that potentially Lucius could have gotten Terrapagos from the Area Zero crater and then brought it over to this Rukawa place, which I think that actually is like really interesting because that means Rukawa might not even be in Paldea. But yeah, so basically the rest the most of this episode consists of the crew basically telling Briar about their findings of what Terrapagos is, and it's basically just a trainer called Lucius had Terrapagos and a bunch of other hero Pokemon, and they lived in a place called Rukawa, and they've been like going around trying to learn more about Terrapagos and hero Pokemon and been catching the hero Pokemon. And they even give Briar trade notes with Briar while Briar brings out the Scarlet book, the original copy written by Heath, to show them, and explains that Heath is her ancestor and was one of the first like explorers down into the Great Area Zero crater, and that's when he discovered Terrapagos and wrote it down in his journal. But everybody thought he was crazy, so they moved it up to science fiction, and that's why it's actually removed in the current day version, because nobody really believed the Terrapagos discoveries that Heath made. I like to also call out that Dot has read the book before. But yeah, they learn basically about Terrapagos as a species in general being home from their main home being the Great Paldea Crater. And they even mentioned that they should probably go investigate that one day, even though it's not really linked to Rukawa or anything. And that's when they also trade Rico's grandmother's notes on Terrapagos to Briar herself, where she even explains that based on her own findings and the combination of Heath's findings, the form and in Rico's grandmother's book is its battle form, which it takes during battle. And that's the one thing that she really was able to provide, because they mentioned, oh yeah, we've seen that form a lot, and it's a very interesting form. But now they know it's the battle form that it takes during battle. And I just love that Briar is freaking out, being like, "Oh, I didn't know all this stuff about Terrapagos' lore with Rukawa and stuff." But technically, you're studying Terrapagos as a species, Briar, not like this specific Terrapagos. But I do like that she actually uses this as more motivation to learn more about Terrapagos' origins. And I love that also this like relates more to Liko, where later on she says she was so happy to even see that there's people in the world with the same goals as her and her grandmother of undiscovering Terrapagos and the mysteries of what Terrapagos is, even if they're not on the same trail yet. And it even like kind of relates by overall by seeing like by trading notes they were able to get even closer, but still be on a stalemate. And even Briar says she's gonna keep in touch, and if anything gets important is learned during her studies, she'll inform the Rising World Attackers, which I hope we do see Briar again, because I did enjoy her presence in the episode, and it makes really sense to have Briar be a major character because she's a Terrapagos researcher and all things terrestrial energy researcher. But also, speaking of Briar, Briar is canonically the person who made it possible to terrestrialize in other regions. So, could so has her work been fully published? Because, or has this been established? Because we've seen terrestrialization in other regions with like no explanation. With like all the only closest thing to explanation you could be having, like when Freed terrestrialized randomly in Galar, the closest thing to an explanation you could have had were A, he charged his Terra Orb before leaving Paldea, or B, the little like lore hint that's mentioned by Briar in the games where it says, oh, if you have Terrapagos near you at all times, you can basically terrestrialize whenever. And being like so close to Terrapagos' energy, which I kind of wish he mentioned, because we haven't seen them really recharge their Terra Orb, and it would have been a really nice detail to see them being like, oh, you guys have a Terrapagos with you. You know you guys can terrestrialize anytime, anywhere. So, but yeah. Basically, yeah. They all look into the crystal pool and promise to meet with Briar again and head back to the ship where they discuss what their next plan is. They talk about going after the hero Pokemon where Molly and Aura are like, realistically, we wouldn't be able to even find some of them because Entei is already a rare Pokemon as it is. What are the odds we find the Entei that is the hero Pokemon? And along with that, Cleavor is extinct and it would be impossible to find it. And meanwhile, while they're talking there, they're like, oh, where's Dai? Where Liko mentioned she actually wants to record a video on Kitakami, so she's out exploring. And that's when she stumbles upon a Hisuian Growlithe. And no, who does that Hisuian Growlithe belong to? Our queen, Perrin. Dot is very interested with Hisuian Growlithe and even asks Perrin if she knows, how does she have this thing, what, and if she can tell her about it. But Perrin's like all strange. So firstly, she's like, oh, I'll tell you if I can take a picture of you. Where Dot's all like weird about it. He's like, oh, I don't really take pictures. I record videos. So Perrin was like, takes the picture. But then Dot realizes, hey, this is a Hisuian Pokemon, and she mentions that she knows a lot about Hisui. What if she's seen the Cleavor? Where she mentions she has seen it and will tell Dot some information. But first, she wants to battle her to see how strong she is to be able to fight Cleavor. So we do get a quick little fight between Dot and Perrin. It was a really cool fight, actually. Like, it was actually surprising that they did fight, and it even results in Quaxley learning Air Cutter. But yeah, Dot takes out Perrin in their battle, so Perrin agrees to help her out with the Cleavor thing. And the episode ends with the Rising Volt Tacklers meeting being interrupted by Dot and Perrin, and they're all shocked to who this woman is on their ship. Overall, I love this episode. I'm happy we finally got like an episode that just sat down and would be like, hey, we know what you guys know about from the game. What we're doing is separate, and I'm happy we finally did get full confirmation. And along with that, I also really loved Perrin's inclusion. I'm happy that we're going to continue to see her more in the next like 2-3 episodes as they hunt for Cleavor. But yeah, that's really all I gotta say, because that's really all that happened in this episode. It was the big lore dump, introduction to Perrin and Briar, who I love both their characters. They're both really good. And yeah, overall, I gotta give this episode a 9 out of 10. Really, I couldn't ask for more. The only thing really like negative I can say was, hey, It would have been cool to actually see the battle against the Milotic result in the kids getting a victory instead of them just like chilling with it. But yeah. Hope you guys like this video. Subscribe for more content like this for the future, and even leave a comment about your thoughts on this episode or Horizon as a whole. But yeah, that's really all I gotta say for this episode. So, S-Man signing off.